Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with a collection tour of my collection. Hopefully that's obvious. So this is going to be a bit different from other collection tours on YouTube. I've been promising this one for a long time, but the collection is not where I want it to be, mostly with the setup. And I'll get into details about that during the tour. And because it takes me forever to upload a lot of video, I'm going to instead just do still images for this tour to hopefully also make that briefer. I'm not going to go over every single item on each shelf. I'm just going to be like picture, couple details. We're going to move on. Sound good to you guys? All right. First off, well, of course, you can see the entirety of my collection is pretty much there in that picture. But I do consider to have like three separate sections of my collection. The first section is the Billy bookcase section. Tends to be like most of like the mainline stuff. Then onto the side here, we have like the spot next to my desk, which contains the detolfs of the minicons and botbots, and as well as the little tables there that are just like my extras. And there's some special ones I really like and want to keep closer to me than on the shelf. And then here is the temporary shelf. I have a very nice bookcase sitting out in my garage since April, probably earlier, probably before the pandemic. But anyway, it's been sitting out there for months. And we haven't brought it up because we've wanted to redo the floor. As you can see, that carpet, we want to replace that with hardwood, and we want to replace the kind of yellowish wall color with light gray. But it's been taking so long that I haven't gotten it up here, so I haven't been able to put it. But this is stuff like I'd want to put on the shelf. Okay, that might be a bit much, but anyway, that's mostly the reason why this collection tour is like this. But now we're going to move on into looking at some of the individual shelves. The first shelf is going to be the top left of that first Billy bookcase you saw. This is the vintage G1 shelf. As you can see, everything on this is G1, whether it is actually from the 80s or is a re-release, it doesn't matter to me. My favorite ones on this shelf are probably the Astro Train, which I picked up from a comic book store, and Piranacon, which was the reissue that I picked up in the Czech Republic. That's a separate story we'll have to get into another time. Oh, and then if you can see on the far right, there is a breakdown. That is actually a KO I picked up from the flea market. Next shelf is the vintage Beast Wars shelf, which, you know, the menagerie of Beast Wars eras, and then, you know, the 10th anniversary releases for Optimus Primal Megatron out of the Cybertron toys, and then the Legends Black Arachnia, all that kind of stuff. It's definitely a weird shelf. We got a lot of variety. Like most of it is like standard Beast Wars, but then there's a couple of Beast Machines hiding in there, and then I've got the Power Hug from Beast Wars 2, I want to say that is. If not Neo. I'm pretty sure it's 2 though. So yeah, I think favorite on this shelf is Inferno, but everyone on this shelf also has so much kibble. You can see there's like the green bit sticking out. That's the Universe 2003 Striker, and it's just there because there's no other place for him on the shelf. Following from the Beast Wars shelf, we're going to move on to the Unicron trilogy stuff, starting with the Cybertron Autobot shelf. A lot of this is stuff from my childhood. Not everything, because I didn't get a chance to get all of it when I was a child, but like most of it I've picked up this year, like Wing Saber there and Jetfire. That's kind of hidden behind Leo Breaker there. They're new to the collection, but I've basically got every main cast Autobot. They're not all here, but I have them all. Lighting needs to be a bit better. As you can see, the back's kind of got a bit of shadow. And I'd have to say Downshift might be my favorite on this shelf. And below that, we got the Cybertron Decepticons. I have this lighting, these two little like pucks on like the bottom half of my detolfs. And it's like a very simple light fix, I want to say, but like it works for me and does what it needs to do. And I need to add that to the other shelves. Also, why I wouldn't say my collection setup is complete. I did have a lot less of the Decepticons when I was growing up. Most of these have been more recent acquisitions. The only ones I can think of are like Scourge and then the the Velocitron Decepticons, those OG ones. But a lot of them I've gotten in recent years I've been really fond of. Probably got to go with the trio of Hardtop, Brush Guard, and Short Round up at front for my favorite Decepticons on this shelf. And then this next shelf is the excess Cybertron as well as post-Cybertron mold releases. So it's like you can see like there's Universe 2008 Leo Breaker. We've got movie Wing Blade in the back there. As well as like the Cybertron Blur, Cybertron Excellion, all that kind of stuff kind of goes on this shelf. This shelf is also kind of packed, but still definitely has things that can be added to it. Also, I gotta say, Leo Prime, Excellion are both really nice updates of the characters they're based on and don't really have the right to be as good as they are. It's just the paint that really does it for them. But they probably have to be my favorite. Possibly. It's either that or Jolt, who was one I've had since childhood. Bottom shelf on the first Billy is the Armada Energon shelf. As you can see, you got some Armada, some Energon. The tidal wave is way too big. Nothing I'm going to do is going to be able to get his face light up unless I stick it directly in his face. The Red Alert and the Starscream I want to point special attention to because I actually bought those off of a friend in college. And that was kind of like nice. That was the first time I really bought like anything secondhand, but like it bloomed into the mess of collection I've got right now. The center Billy, top shelf here. This whole Billy is a basically G1 a modern G1 shelf. And you'll really see that as we go down. Starting at the top, we've got the Wreckers and we've got the female Autobots. This shelf does have a really big issue I need to fix. I need to get some like levels to try to like get some of the back rows to be seen better. Because like you can't see half of them. You can barely see that Sandstorm's on there because of his giant yellow turbines. But there's also like not Roadbuster, tidal waves in the back there. Sea Spray from the TF 2010 line is back there. As you can see, his his buddy Breacher is up in the front. I also have the Transformers, the 2003 BotCon. I forget what the actual name is, but that the Roulette and Shadow Striker and Greenlight and Lancer are kind of really stuck in the back of this. So yeah, I definitely need to do some levels with the shelf. I also want to point out the movie Inferno, the red repaint of Red Alert. That is Flashpoint to me, who appeared in the animated, who was based off of movie Inferno. But it's going to get too long to properly explain. But yeah, probably the like quote unquote main shelf is the 1984 to 1985 Autobot cast and crew. A lot of it has been updated thanks to Earthrise and Siege. We do have the one Fakerino there in the front, but that will be replaced once Kingdom Wave 2 comes out. Don't worry. And there's still going to be other things that get replaced and readjusted, but at the moment, I'm like really pleased with it. I just wish I had Trailbreaker and Sunstreaker right now because I would have at least had quote unquote all of the 84 crew, but oh well. And then below them is the 1984-1985 Decepticon shelf. Which is like 50% Seekers. And then I also threw in a few extra characters that I think would make sense to be in a G1 capacity. Like Red Wing's not necessarily a G1 Seeker, but like it makes sense he'd be with them. Lugnut, Barricade, those guys also make sense. Slipstream is also there. I also hope to have Thrust on the shelf for this, but oh well. Next up, the 1986 and onward Autobot shelf. As you can see, we got from Junkions in the back and Magnus there to Quick Switch off to the right with the monster bots, Night Beat sticking out in the back there. The mini bots of 1986 being up in the front, along with Rung. I just think it makes sense for Rung to be on the shelf just because of much of the 86 crew was part of More Than Meets the Eye. And he's small, he doesn't take up too much room. Also, the pipes will be replaced once that becomes a possibility. Then we got, of course, after that, the 1986 onward Decepticon shelf. And I do not understand how this shelf is the one that is so packed. Like, there's no room there's no room. Like, I get, like, probably it's the 3 leader class figures standing in the back there, but they go together thanks to IDW. So I don't know what to do. I also need to get a couple of risers on this shelf because, like, the left half of the shelf is just deluxes that are all basically the same height, so they're getting lost within each other. But yeah, I just look, I don't know. And with the Kingdom revisions for Galvatron, Cyclonus, and Scourge, I really gonna have to redo the shelf a bunch. And then the bottom shelf is the kind of miscellaneous generations. It's heavily Decepticon, but like we've got like the Diaclone Generation Selects here, as well as the Power Dashers. You've got Straxus, Double Dealer, who probably would be on the shelf above, but there's already not enough room. I've got some, what I'm considering Shattered Glass, G2, those kinds of extra miscellaneous guys, you know? Yeah, kind of got some room, but definitely probably could use work on spacing it out a bit. And off to the final Billy bookcase, we are going to start off with basically the rest of the generations, the series. Starting with animated on the top. This one also needs lighting. The Dinobots on the far left there. Could probably work on some levels. It's definitely by far not complete. The animated, I for whatever reason skipped most of, except for like the Safeguard 2-pack. So all of these have been pretty much more recent purchases. Still like have gaps in the collection, but still working on it. Though I will say, back far right, I have BotCon Toxitron, and I still don't understand, or I'm still shocked that I actually own that. So yeah. And below them we have the aligned continuity shelf. I had to just recently rearrange this a bit to get what I wanted to fit on there to fit, with the addition of the Transformers Prime 10th Anniversary War Breakdown and Viacon, taking up a bit of space. I definitely want in the future, if possible, to split the shelf up into 2 different shelves, but I don't know if I would do like aligned continuity, like the Prime show and then the RID, or just do Autobot Decepticon and split it that way. I'm not sure on that. But definitely talking about Autobot and Decepticon shelves. Next up is the movie Autobot shelf. Also needs a bit more lighting, especially since how dark some of the characters are. Like I can barely see Ironhide in the picture. I know he can be seen from this angle. But yeah, there's a few gaps, but like it's pretty much Studio Series and like a handful of outside Studio Series. Middle shelf is probably my favorite stuff from the movies. Is the non-movie predominantly characters. Like Stratosphere is a big fave of mine, as well as I don't think he can be really seen here, but Armorhide is there. Then of course Terradive on the right there is a biggie. I just like a lot of the non-movie toys a bit more, but of course there's a couple like the Dark of the Moon Ratchet and then the Steel Bane. Just I needed a little extra room on the Autobot shelf, but then there was plenty of room here. So and then the movie Decepticon shelf, and I'm still just like, how is there so little color variety? The majority of the color comes from the drones from the 4th movie. Like Shockwave is purple and Brawl is green, but it's so muted that's even a bit hard to tell. Not that I hate these toys or anything, but I'm just like, this is there could be more, you know, to visualize. I'm also going to point out in the back, I've got the 4 different Megatrons: Movie 1, Movie 2, Movie 3, and then Movie 5 Megatron. In the back there, flanked by Blackout and Nitro Zeus. If they do a Galvatron and if they do Grindor, I do not know how I'm going to organize that because they're supposed to all fit in the back row as I have standing, but all 7 of those would not be able to. But yeah. And then the bottom shelf here is the miscellaneous others, basically. We got like some of the RID stuff is here, but as well as like the pre-Kingdom Generations Beast Wars stuff, some extra Wheeljack's and sound waves that don't fit on the other shelves. You can see kind of the rescue bots peeking out a bit there. Swole Scream in the back, obviously. Just ones that don't fit on other shelves, but I still kind of, to an extent, like some of these are like ones that don't really fit on any of the other shelves, but I still really like the cup. At the moment, I'm going to have to see how I feel about that cup once the new cup comes, but we're going to evaluate that then. And then just off to the right of the shelf is Predaking, Devastator, and Movie Devastator. I just don't have any place to put them. I don't have any, none of the shelves are high enough. I could adjust it, but it doesn't work how I'd want it to. And on top of the bookcases, there's just there's not enough room. For Devi and Predaking, height-wise, certainly, but especially now, there's just absolutely nowhere for them to go there. But speaking of the top of the bookcases, we're going to start off the top left side. Is the 1984 and 1985 quote-unquote big boys. The 4 Scramble City Combiners, their excess teammates from the Combiner Wars, and Jetfire from Siege. Kind of leaning in the back there. My big issue with this is like they're all kind of like we have weird balancing issues, so it's like kind of a little like I don't know if they should be up here, but this is the best place I have for all of them. In the middle here is a shelf I'm pretty proud of. It's my Unicron shelf. It's not completely Unicron, but like you can see clearly the Unicrons in the middle there, flanked by the Sidewayses and the scrap metals from Cybertron, as well as Galvatron off to the left there, kind of unfortunately hidden by Metroplex, who's just too big to be put anywhere else, and King and the Supreme Class Starscream, or King Starscream, that I just got a couple months ago, and I'm just like, it's just a bigger version of the smaller one, but I'm like, this is just so much fun. Yeah, they all kind of end up here. And then on the far right is the 1986 onward big boy shelf. And Prime Predaking, he had to get moved because of Breakdown and Viacon coming in. This was originally just the combiners. Computron, Victorion, Abominus, and Piranacon. But then Skylakes came like, okay, if Jetfire's over there, then Skylakes should be here. And then I'm like, where would I put the Quintessons? I guess kind of close to Skylink since they're from the same era. So yeah, that's getting crowded. And then we're over to the second area, the part near my desk. And we're going to start with the top of the Detolfs. This was originally just Fortress Maximus and Triptychon. And then I added the weaponizers from Siege because like, oh, they're their partner, so they can go here. And then this also kind of became a place of excess, but like more like oddities than even the extra shelf on the Billy bookcase, because we got Armada Overload, who does fit here because of the minicons. The Battle Master, the Earthrise Battle Masters, the third party Glacial Lord set, just a couple of Kremzeeks and the Kranix from the set, as well as like my predominantly static Soundwave Wheeljack's on the far right there. Yeah, just that's what we got going on. And then moving downward further, starting on the first Detolf on the left, this is my Minicon shelf. Gonna try to breeze through this. Top shelf is the Minicon teams from Armada as well as Energon. Following that up is predominantly partner minicons. And the shelf below that is Japanese exclusives. They've been kind of going on this third shelf. Below that is Cybertron plus kind of like other US releases. Some of them could go on like the partner shelf, but like with the spacing and everything, you know, it's just kind of how it works out. And then the fifth shelf is the classics shelf. There's a bit of a gap in the front here because I never had Grindor. I ordered one a while ago. It's kind of MIA in the mail now. And then I broke my Dirt Rocket recently. So I'm going to try to fix that, but I don't know if I can. But yeah. And then the shelf 6 is the Micron Booster shelf, as well as the Power Core Combiners for like the time being. I'd like to try to split them up at some point, but we'll have to see what happens. Then below them, we have the Micromaster shelf, as well as the modulators. And I was so happy about this shelf a couple of months ago because I'm like, oh, wow, everything is going to fit perfectly in here. There's not going to be it's just going to fit exactly nicely perfect. If it were much more, then it wouldn't fit. And now with all of the Galactic Odysseys, that there is not enough room to fit all of them now. And I'm just slightly ticked on that. But hey, I like more of the minis, so just bring them on. And then bottom shelf here is the Movie Tiny Turbo Changers, as well as the Titans Return Titan Masters. So yeah. Moving on to the second DTOLF, we got the bots, obviously. Series 1 bots on the top shelf. Series 2 on the second shelf. Series 3 on the third shelf. The exclusives on the fourth shelf. So then the numbering gets thrown off. Series 4 on the fifth shelf, which is incomplete, which is why I haven't gotten to them yet, or had more motivation to do the Series 3 Lost Bots, but I am going to get to that before the end of the year. I swear. And then Series 5 is on the sixth shelf, and again, that is also incomplete. And then the seventh shelf is for Series 6. You know, if they ever actually come out, we know there are supposed to be Series 6 releases, but I don't know if that's still happening or not. And then bottom shelf is GoBots, and then Legends of Cybertron. I never actually had any Legends of Cybertron when I was growing up. I've had more of the GoBots first. Literally every single Legends of Cybertron I have gotten this year or last year. It's just been in the past 2 years I've had these, but I do like them. They're quite kind of fun, kind of nice. So now done with the DTOLFs. We're going to go to the side tables. The one on the right, the one that's more crowded, is definitely a lot of special ones, like the two Siege, the new generations, Cybertron Optimus and Hotshot. A custom SoundJack and Rationale thanks to Grim Lockamus. Masterpiece Wheeljack, G1 Soundwave. The little, I forget what they're called, not Micro Changer, but the yellow Optimus Prime, that is the female Optimus Prime. The third party Make Tours Galaxy Meteor, and the third party Centurion. It's actually Centurion in the comics, but that's what the toy's also called. And then Scatter Spike, partly because I have headcanon that she would be like the Transformers William Shakespeare, because Scatter Spike Shakespeare, haha. Regardless, as well as a handful of Creo minifigs that I have picked up this year. And then to the left of that is the main, is like the couple extras. Like we got the Cybertron Soundwave, the Prime Wheeljack that have been my main mascots on the channel. Bisque, because of the connection with the Steel City bots. And then this McDonald's Cybertron Megatron, just because But there is a lot more room because that is also kind of the space where I put my extra, like my more recent purchases. So as I can still like give them a good mess around before, so as they don't like immediately go on the shelf. And I'm like, oh yeah, I have this. I get to play around if I get to get a better use out of it. Yeah, currently I actually just got Kingdom Wave 1 in yesterday from when I'm recording this. And they're actually on this shelf now, on this table now. So yeah, that's cool. And then just before I forget, Microverse or Arachnid, I bought at BotCon Toronto last year for the raffle, for the raffle stuff. Haven't opened it, wouldn't have a good place to put it. So finally, final set of shelves, the extras. This shelf obviously is the Primes shelf, at the moment consisting of the like Primes or the toys I have headcanoned as Primes, the Prime Masters, as well as the Legacy of the Primes, the Matrix Bearers. Though that Rodimus is not actually Rodimus. I'm using that as Guardian Prime from the cartoon, who looked a lot like Rodimus, and hopefully the rumored Commander class Rodimus would be the actual Rodimus for the shelf. And of course, how could I forget to say Primus in the back there, as well as a G1 Optimus Prime, which is kind of mostly here because it's a very busted up and wouldn't look good in robot mode on the shelf. So I kind of like it here, actually. Next, we've got Bumblebee movie characters as well as the Cyberverse. They are presently sharing the same shelf. They probably will get split up once I actually get the actual bookcase in here. But yeah, and this also has, unfortunately, I'm sorry about the lighting on this one, but yeah, this was what I was able to do. Also, Universe 2003 Ramjet back there because that backpack is so long. And then final shelf includes the Dinobots as well as a lot of vehicle mode transformers I have in vehicle mode, like Revenge of the Fallen Jetfire, Car Shatter, and Helicopter Dropkick, who would go back on the Bumblebee shelf once there's more room to have them all displayed there like such. I do hope to, when I get this shelf in, that I can put Movie Jetfire in vehicle mode, as well as the Super Sentai Age of Extinction Dinobots on the shelf, along with the Studio Series Devastator. I don't know if that will work, but that's something to do when I actually get the shelf. But yeah, so that is my my collection as it stands. I know didn't go over a whole lot of it. You can pause for pictures and whatnot. Once I have everything set up properly in this room, I will probably do another collection tour to show it all off. But that is it for now, so thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. You should also check me out on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426, and check me out at RDSJ Gaming, where I play video games with Alyssa, aka The Rational Dove. With all that being said, thanks for tuning in. This is SoundJack signing out.